So hey guys, this is part 2 of my weathering process on my board, on my city tiles, and basically all this is dried overnight. I've just got one tile here, and I've got it sat next to a Forge World tile that I've painted. You might have seen us playing games on these before, and this has previously had a various amount of washes and all kinds of different things I've tried on it, and yeah, it's they're kind of starting to match. They start to look like they are part of the same planet, same city. Obviously very different looking boards. Forge World 1 has a lot more height detail to it and arguably more overall detail to it. G-Dub 1 still an incredible looking board, and you can just see this is the area that we were looking at in the last video where it was pooled quite a lot, and got these really awesome grime streaks left, and you know, even this here is ran, but I kind of like that it's run because I had that on some of my other boards and it looks like blood is pooled in corners and things like that. So I've this one I washed it, I just threw pots of wash into it, so there's an interesting, it's like blood's been washed through the streets by the rain, and it just gives it depth and it just gives it character, and starts to bring it to life. Now I have tried a few little of these dust washes on this board. I don't know if you're getting that there, but it's starting to come together. But I think the next big step now is to make up the wash that's going to eventually, it will dry dusty and it will dry matte. So where this has left a bit of a shine to it, which is, you know, we knew it would, and that was what we were after. We're now going to wash it, and it will dry as though dust has kind of been swept through and swept up into the corners and the crevices, and it's kind of stayed on all the flat areas. So technique wise, what I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to try and not paint this onto any vertical surfaces, but actually just paint it onto the flat surfaces, and we're going to slop it on, and we're going to let it dry, and it should dry and pool into the corners, and give it a kind of really interesting look. But it should tie, as I said, all of these boards together a little bit more. And you know, I think this is a pretty damn good job. I think, you know, if you think back to the other game or the other board, and there was tonally it was quite different, but now it's starting to tie in a little bit. And you know, even if we start to butt these up against each other that way, and it's not such an obvious difference in that there's a different road, but you know, you look at that join now, and yeah, there's a bit of a lip because they're different heights, but kind of looks pretty cool. Okay, hey guys, so this is how I'm going to make my wash. So I picked up this screen wash from Halfords today. I got 5 litres for £3.40, so it's on offer. And I'm going to use that as half of my base for the wash, and then I've just got some straight up water, and then I'm going for a Zandri dust base. So that's just the G-Dub color Zandri dust. Alright, so this is 12mm pot, and basically I want 1 part of this to 10 parts of this and 10 parts of this. So if we average it out, 12mm, we're going to need 120 mils of water and 120 mils of the Halfords. So I'm going to mix it up in my pot. Just try and get all that last bit of paint and pigment out of there. So getting clean. So yeah, basically if you're going to try this, I'm going to put a disclaimer and say I've never actually done this before. I've kind of watched Blake talk about how he's done it, Blake Spence from Forge World, and he's done a similar mix for the boards they've used, and it looks super cool. So this is a kind of live experiment, so we'll whack it on and then you guys can see for yourselves whether you want to give it a go. Alright guys, so we're going to give it a go. We've given this a good mix up now. Don't know if you can see that, but it's an interesting colour, consistency. It's just like water really. It's just like mucky water. So the idea really is we're going to just slap this on, totally cover both boards. We're going to use this as a test board, and then we're going to let it dry and see how it goes. So like I said, watch to the end of the video before you try this, because it could all go tits up. See how it goes. I've got to be honest, I'm slightly nervous at the moment, but I'm going to have faith in the technique for now. Hey guys, I thought I would just do a quick kind of review after about 20 minutes, half hour of drying. And it's looking great. I'm kind of less worried than I was. So if we go in, you kind of see how this is all dried in little patches, and this is still wet, but you know, it's still retained a lot of the colour and tones that were under there, but it's just got this amazing level of detail now. And even on this one here, you know, it's looking really cool. Starting to dry in there and giving some amazing, just natural tones and contrast of materials and detail. I'm really stoked. So anyway, this is after about 20 minutes, which is about when my heart rate dropped. So I grabbed a beer, and my wife came and reassured me and said, remember what Blake said, have faith. So I'm having faith, and it's looking alright. Panic over. Hey guys, welcome back to the final part of this video. So I've done 6 boards. I've got 4 more of these boards to do, but I've got 6 done for mine and Mike's game later today. And they've come out really well. I'm really happy with how they've come out. So let me give you a little tour around. So here we go. Let's have a little view of the tiles. It's all dried out really well. And one of the things I was a little bit worried about is would I lose some of the colour and the contrast and detail that I'd put into these. And I don't really think I have. Up close you can still see this is a Space Wolf rhino, but it definitely looks like that wreck's been there a little while now, which is kind of cool. What I've done on these flat surfaces is I tried to not have as much pooling, and I'll show you something I did a little bit differently with that one as well. This is the first tile we did. You've probably seen this one, and this was the one I did last night just to finish off. And again, really happy with how it's come out. Definitely, I think, you know, ties all of these together. I'm super happy with this one. I had a nice big puddle of stuff there, but I'm not too worried about it because actually this section here dips quite a lot, and it's in the mould, but it looks kind of cool. You know, it looks like this area's, it's got a bit of, it's not this super flat one, which I think is the only thing I'm not hugely a fan of the G-dubs, is they're super flat, but the way they're made, it has to be that way. And I kind of like the differences in these ones, so that was pretty cool. I didn't go too heavy in here because I felt like, you know, this dust wouldn't necessarily get all blown just through this gap, and I'm actually going to pull some water effects just into these little bits to give that a bit more narrative and story. This one's come out great as well. So on this one, didn't actually put anything on here because I built this building and I'm going to build a rear section for this building that's going to fit in here, and so we can play either half building or with a almost sort of more of a destruction piece here, and we're going to be able to go up into the building and pull this out, so there's going to be levels we can fight on in there. So because of that, I didn't want to have too much here. It was just an experiment because I can go back in and add it, but I just thought I'd experiment with it and see how it looked. So overall, I'm really happy. I think it's really cool. There's a couple of little details I'm going to go back and do, like some of these. I want to throw some weathering powders in, some black soot, so the odd crater looks like it's been done recently versus some that have been done for a while. So it just gives it an interesting bit of narrative. And then the next part is all the buildings I've painted. I want to tie them into the board now because I've had some of these for a long time. This is actually the first one I've done, so it's actually quite bright blue, and yeah, not sure about that. But they need to be tied in a bit more now so they don't sit off it. So I'm going to take some of the dust and I'm going to start to try and build it up so it looks like it sits like within this, so it ties it into the board a little bit more. That's got quite a lot of paint finishing to do anyway overall, but for these ones that I have finished, so like that one over there, I'm going to try and tie them in, and I'll do that in the next part of the video. But this is all done, and me and Mike will be playing on it tonight, so I'm quite excited about that. I'm really, really happy with how it all looks. And I would advise, if you've got any boards, these boards, those boards, I think it'd probably work on the kind of fantasy battle board thing as well. Give it a go, it's really cool. I mean, this, I've still probably got enough for one tile, maybe two tiles. So I've done 6 tiles with 1 pot of G-Dub paint and that little mix I made. So to do probably 8 tiles, it's probably cost me no more than, I mean, the amount of screen wash I used was negligible out of that £3.40 huge couple of litres worth, and then whatever a G-Dub paint pot costs, add 20p to that, and that's what this whole wash has cost me. So it's way cheap, way cheap. And I'm going to use it on my bases as well, so I'm going to go back, put this on my bases for my iron hands, and then let that dry out and then repaint the edges so that they tie into the boards. I think it's going to look really cool. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed part 2, and I will come up with part 3 soon, and we'll work on a few of the buildings, and we'll see if we can get them to look tied in. Cheers guys.